And here we are with my favorite part of the show or favorite podcast that we do. Every rose has its thorn. And looking forward to this one, Nick. Our topic for today on Every Rose Has Its Thorn is inspirational sports movies. Inspirational
Wow.
sports movies. There's a lot to pick from here. So you want to get us started on a rose or roses or thorns or whatever you want to start with?
Sure. Now I'm assuming, Rick, that it's going to be okay that we have multiple roses for this one because
absolutely, I got lots.
Yeah. And I hope it's also okay that we have perhaps some disagreements over whether or not some movies are an actual sport movie or a different type of movie
with sports in them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's wait.
Okay.
Let's wait.
All right. I'm open-minded.
I'm going to start with one that might not be as well known or as popular. This one is called Saint Ralph, and this is a fictional account of a young
roses?
boy.
Nick, roses?
This is a rose.
A rose. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got it.
Did you say young Ralph?
Saint Ralph.
Saint Ralph. Okay.
Saint Ralph. Yep. And it's about a young boy in, I believe, 9th grade, whose mother is in a coma, and he decides to try to make a miracle happen in order for her to wake up. And he decides that miracle is going to be winning the Boston Marathon. So it takes place several decades ago. It might be like 1930s, 40s, or 50s. It's been a while. It's funny. It's inspirational. And it is one of the best montage scenes in any running movie ever. So wow. I'd say it beats Chariots of Fire bar none. The montage scene is a version of Hallelujah, done by oh my god, and I'm totally blanking now. I had it written down and it's not in front of me. But it's almost an acoustic version. It's like one or two instruments with just a beautiful voice behind it. Super famous lead frontman of a group that it'll come to me as we're talking there. But Saint Ralph, again, funny, good drama, great acting throughout the movie, and one of the best ending running montage scenes in history. And it's hard to make a running montage good, Rick. Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my first rose, Rick. I'm going to go Saint Ralph.
I want to ask two questions of this, Nick, because I've never heard of this movie. Is this a true story or fictional?
No. Nope. Totally fictionalized.
Oh, fictional. Gotcha. And how old
totally
is this
fictional.
movie? Like, is this a recent movie or?
No, this movie came out in, I was able to just pull it up, 2004.
Oh, it's not that old.
It came out initially. Yeah. I mean, not super old.
Do you know if it's streaming anywhere?
You can stream it on pretty much any streaming service, but I think it's all rental. I don't think you can stream for free currently. It premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2004, and then it did so well that they gave it a theatrical release. Again, not super big when it first came out, but then it picked up steam, kind of like a cult following. It's set in 1954. 1954. I will give a shout out to the lead, Adam Butcher, who plays Ralph. Just awesome. And then he attends a Catholic school, so you get a lot of the really interesting characters. Some of his friends, the priest who's the coach, the head of school. Just again, really funny, good drama, and want that montage scene. In fact, I'm gonna find that here as you talk about your first rose, so I can give you the song. And I already found it. So the original song, as we know, Hallelujah, right? That's Leonard Cohen, but this is a version done by Gord Downey. Okay. Gordon Downey, and he obviously is with. He's actually performed with many different groups, the Tragically Hip, among others there. But this was an independent version that he did. Again, just fantastic.
It sounds great. I've never seen it. I've written it down. I'm definitely going to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's appropriate for all the kids too. You can definitely they can all see it.
Okay,
Do
cool.
you want to hit us with one of your roses there, Rick?
Let me. I have some that I don't want to talk about a lot. I'm just going to include them on my list, and then I'll talk about one, and then I'll come back and mention just another two real quick. So, look,
Love it.
any kind of a list like this has to include, Rockies 1 through 6. I mean, for me, that's, Remember the Titans. I got to have in there, even though I don't want to talk about it a lot right today. But the Karate Kid trilogy, the first three. I mean, that, yeah, for me, that's definitely up there. Um, and then, what about Vision Quest? Do you remember Vision Quest
I do. Yeah,
with
wrestling
Matthew
movie.
Modine? Wrestling movie with Matthew Modine, and for people who don't, maybe newbies might know Matthew Modine is in Stranger Things. Right now, he's kind of in that,
Yes.
and he was. I just watched Oppenheimer for the first time, and I noticed he's there. He's one of the scientists in Oppenheimer. Is Matthew Modine? I didn't realize that. So
Yep. We
anyway,
have we. Do you like? We're not. We'll Oppenheimer for a later date, but
yeah.
definitely. Yeah, lots to talk about there too. Definitely not a sports movie.
Yeah, no. But that's a classic. I loved it. I love that. And of course, as a wrestler, I enjoyed that one for sure. But I guess one of the ones that I'll mention is one of my favorites, one of my very, very favorites, one of my biggest roses, if you will, is The Natural with Robert Redford.
Mm.
Loved. You've seen The Natural, Nick? Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
heck yeah,
okay. Just
absolutely.
making sure, right? I mean, this is just a
Yes.
classic, amazing movie. I don't know, Nick. Do you remember like before VHS, there was video discs? They were the size of like a record. Like, do you remember that? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
big, the
Oh
size
yeah.
of a record, and they came in the
Yep.
case, and you pushed them in there. Did you guys have a video
Laser
disc player?
discs.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yes.
like yes, but I think laser
My
discs were
dad,
a
of
bit
course.
different. Yeah,
Oh, were they?
I think laser
Oh,
discs
then
were different than
no.
a video disc, but I'm not sure about that. I don't know if it was a different player, kind of like Beta
Okay.
and VHS, were kind of competing or whatever. But yeah, we used to go and get video discs all the time. And then when they made the transition from video disc to VHS, like the local rental store, like sold all of the discs, and we had a disc player, and so I went and I saved up money and I got 4 video discs. I got Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, I got Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and I got The Natural. And I watched those 4 movies. I mean, I want to say hundreds of times, not even 100. I watched them a lot, over and over and over. I loved these movies, and certainly The Natural is one of those. I mean, and I don't know another little tidbit, Nick. Of course, you're there outside of Philly, and I'm a huge Phillies fan. And I don't know if you know this, but The Natural was based upon a true story of a Philadelphia Philly from 1949 who was a star for the Phillies, and he got shot in a hotel room by a female. And he made a comeback, came back the next year, 1950, played for the Whiz Kids, who went to the World Series. I think they played the Yankees that year. But he was never the same after that, never the same after getting shot. And actually died in 1972 at the young age of 53 and struggled with alcoholism. Just kind of not a great, kind of a depressing story. But in The Natural, of course, Robert Redford plays Roy Hobbs, and it's got that beautiful music as he's rounding the bases. And I sometimes I'll hear it at baseball games. It always gives me chills. I've got it queued up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Anyway, I love The Natural. One of my favorites, based on a true story, but a lot of fiction in there as well. And that's one of my biggest roses for inspirational sports
Man, that
movies.
I love that you picked one that is definitely on a true movie fan's list, but not one that you might normally have in like your top 2 or 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of why I was like I wanted to go with like Saint Ralph, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, let's try to think of like something a little bit different there.
Yeah.
All right, I'll jump in with another rose. This one is obviously a biased favorite of mine. So The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So my trainer, Afa Anawahi, the Wild Samoan, and a lot of the guys and girls I got to work with, and very closely in my wrestling days, helped train Mickey Rourke for the film, and then starred in the film as well. And I would say that it's about as close of a depiction of the independent wrestling scene as you're ever going to get, in addition to just being such a good cautionary tale of the inability of someone to kind of like let go and move on, which is what that character is played so well. It's as though Mickey Rourke was made to play that role, even though like Nick Cage, I believe, was originally cast there.
Okay, I didn't know
So
that.
for sentimental reasons, that's definitely on the list, and it's also just very just real and gritty, and you're rooting for him, and then you just see how he manages to kind of just not be able to get it together. Which is just tough.
Great movie.
But great movie. So I would hit The Wrestler. A couple others that don't need to be discussed because they're just so amazing, and everyone knows. Rudy. When Rudy gets when he finally gets the acceptance letter, when he finally gets into Notre Dame, I cry every time. It never fails, even if I'm not watching it from the beginning. I well up tears at that point. Here Comes the Boom, which we actually referenced in an earlier episode, a couple episodes ago. Kevin James, hilarious, some funny mixed martial arts stuff. And Any Given Sunday, not for the whole movie, Rick, but just for the Peace with Inches speech that Al Pacino gives at the end of the movie. Just one of my favorite movie speeches of all time.
Oh, yeah, good picks. Good picks, Nick. I like those a lot. Wow.
Yeah.
Can I hit another couple roses for you?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, okay, let me hit you with two more roses. And Nick, I picked these because they're very recent roses. So we just watched these. Ooh. So Christy and I got into a little binge on inspirational sports movies recently. And so two of them in particular were really, really outstanding. I definitely recommend to you and, of course, any of our listeners. So the first one is called My All-American. You heard of this one?
I don't think
it might be Netflix.
Continue.
My All-American. It's about a football player at the University of Texas, and it kind of follows his story from being a kid, kind of, who just grows up and wants to play college football, actually wants to play for Notre Dame. You mentioned Notre Dame. But he ends up getting a scholarship at the University of Texas and plays under Coach Darrell Royal, kind of a legendary coach from University of Texas. And the movie starts with an interview with Coach Royal, and the reporter asks Coach Royal, of the 50 All-Americans you've had over your career, which one was the most influential on your team? And he says, Freddie Steinmark. And she says, Coach, Freddie Steinmark wasn't an All-American. And he says, oh, he's my All-American. And that's, of course, the name of the movie. And it is just fantastic and inspirational. A little heartbreaking, too, but definitely a must-watch if you're into inspirational sports movies, for sure. I won't give more away, but of course, there's lots of good twists in there. So, and here's another one that we watched and I thought was really good. This one is on Netflix. I guess I'm not sure about the My All-American. I can't remember. But The Hill. And this is a movie, kind of the most well-known actor, of course, that you'd recognize there is Dennis Quaid, plays the dad. Not always a great dad in that, for sure, but he plays the dad in that. And his son kind of has leg braces, kind of like think Forrest Gump. He grows up kind of with leg braces because he can't get around and has kind of a bone disease that kind of really limits him. But despite that, he has a gift for hitting. Similar to Roy Hobbs, the Roy Hobbs, the lightning hit the tree at the beginning, and he just has this gift for hitting a baseball. Well, the kiddo has a gift for hitting, and despite having the leg braces, and of course the leg braces come off eventually. And it's I don't want to give more away because it's so good. If you're a fan of baseball, it's such a good movie, and definitely recommend The Hill.
So, since we've done some roses here, I don't want to get into a thorn, but maybe a potential disagreement. I agree. Rocky, sports movie, even though you could argue it's just a love story. Yeah. Like you could make either argument strongly. Field of Dreams, sports movie or drama? What would your take be there?
I considered it for my list, and I think what I did was I lumped it into drama.
Okay,
but I wouldn't die on that hill. I'd be okay if somebody wants to consider that a sport. A great movie to be sure. For me, not quite as much of a sports movie, but a great movie.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hit you with just a couple more that I would put in the rose category. Then I just have a couple thorns. But even my thorns, I would watch if they were on TV. Happy Gilmore, the late great Carl Weathers, also on this
Yeah.
list from Rocky fame.
Yeah.
One of my favorites of all time. When Chubbs is on the piano in heaven, right before the dramatic conclusion, like what a great film.
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks.
Oh, that's a
I
good one.
can't.
I didn't think of that one.
Doesn't matter how many times I watch Mighty Ducks, I can still
Yeah, that's a good one.
watch the Mighty Ducks.
Mhm.
And Mighty Ducks 2, I will watch if it's on as well. Mighty Ducks 3, it didn't work for me. This one, Rick, I don't know if you'll remember. You have to go way back in the Wayback Machine. In the vein of movies like Bloodsport, No Retreat, No Surrender, this movie was called Best of the Best. Eric Roberts, Sean Penn, and it's an American karate team that has to fight the Korean karate team, and they all sort of get like backstories, and it's so bad,
one.
it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, best of the best. You might not want. It's so bad that like the family might not appreciate the '80s macho fighting movie. Or if they like bad, terrible stuff, that's in there. It's in there in the best possible way. From the Thorn perspective, I have to, this is tough, but I might get some disagreement here. I got to go with like any sports movie that starred an animal.
Oh yeah,
like Air Bud.
Uh-huh.
I love dogs. I have 9 of them, but it didn't work for me. Like dogs playing human sports.
Yeah, no disagreement.
It doesn't.
No disagreement
it doesn't get it done. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to hate myself for this one because I loved this one as a kid. But you're going to hate me.
Oh, really?
Rookie of the Year.
Wow, yeah.
Rookie of the Year, the Disney movie. Rudy, was it? I forget the kid's name now. Rutabaga.
No. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking the rookie, but the rookie of the year. I know what you mean now. Okay. Yeah, gotcha.
No. Yeah, and is it?
Yeah,
I
think so.
Donald Glover who plays the coach, who's always saying the kid's name wrong. So a child, basically pre-teenager, has an arm accident that makes him be able to pitch like 200 miles per hour.
Yeah,
and he winds up playing Major League Baseball. It didn't hold up as well as I remembered it as a kid. So I'm going to have that on my thorn list too. And I think I have 2 more roses, but I want to get some of yours before I give my final 2 roses.
Let me go through just a couple, two more roses that I think the one for me at the top was The Natural. I love The Natural, but 2 other ones that I think would make my list. Hoosiers. Mm-hmm. Hoosiers is just a great movie. And I don't know if this is one of those that my last one here, Nick, for roses is, I don't know if you consider this a sports movie or a drama, but I love it. Over the Top.
Oh no! Okay. So one of my final 2 roses.
I'll let you talk more
Over
about
the Top.
It. Okay.
No.
All right. Let me go to my thorns. Now I took a little different approach for my thorns because I was having a hard time, but I don't disagree with yours. I agree with the Air Bud and what was the other one? Oh yeah, Rookie of the Year. I agree with that. But no, what I did with mine is I listed some that I've never seen that I probably should see. So that's the thorn is I need to watch these movies because they're kind of classics. Raging Bull.
Okay. Yeah.
I've never watched Raging Bull. Never saw it.
You've never seen Raging Bull?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a former boxer. Which
you've already mentioned this one. Oh, really?
I would argue that that's not a boxing movie. I would argue that's not a sports movie, but there's.
Okay.
Jake LaMotta is a very interesting character.
Okay.
But
this
continue.
one you already mentioned.
Need to see it.
Chariots of Fire. I've never watched Chariots of Fire. And that's a thorn. I need to watch it, right? I mean, it's very good, right? I mean, yeah.
You could make the argument that it's kind of boring. However, it's been years.
Okay.
I'd have to watch it again to see if it holds up at all.
Here's a new one that I would like to watch, and I imagine you probably have. So maybe you'll have some insight here. The Iron Claw. Okay.
You need to see it. I've done an extensive review on my brother's podcast. And all I will say is it probably, man, this is a tough call. I would suggest maybe reading the true story, like a summary, like either a Wikipedia or one of the many articles that have been written about the Von Erich family. Because if you go in not knowing what's coming, it really can hit home. It can hit hard based on based on how tragic the movie is. No human who doesn't know the story, who goes in totally cold to that movie, can come out unaffected, because you can't even comprehend the level of tragedy this family went through. And the movie's very good. Yeah, the movie's very good, but it's good to kind of know the story. I'll do that. Going in.
My last thorn is honestly, my thorn is the movie doesn't exist, but I want it to. Okay. I want a dramatized version, not a documentary. I want a dramatized version of a movie about Pete Rose. And I have a title for it, Nick. I have a title for it.
Whew.
Charlie Hustle.
Go ahead.
Huh? Yeah, it's the perfect title, isn't it? Based upon who he is. But anyway, I want to see it. What?
Who plays Pete Rose, Rick?
Oh my gosh.
Who plays Pete Rose?
Oh man, you catching me off guard. I don't have an actor for it yet. I'll have to think about that. You got anybody come to mind?
No, not right offhand. I mean, you could have made an argument 20 years ago for John Goodman, maybe. That's right. Yeah, it might be hard to use him again.
It is. I'll have to think about that. That's a good question.
It's a tough one.
But someday it'll be a movie. Someday it will be for sure.
Yeah.
A big one, I would guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
I'm done. That's my list.
I'm sorry. Did you any more to that list there, or was that? Are you? All right. Impressive. My final two are going to be The Cutting Edge, which was a good friend of the show and one of our original Penn State crew, Christine Wolf, who was the Blue Sapphire baton twirler at Penn State. Cutting Edge was her favorite movie. I believe growing up, it was the only movie she actually ever watched prior to meeting all of us in college. Cutting Edge ice skating movie. That's her favorite there. So that's on my so bad it's good list. And then the final one, Rick, you said Over the Top. A movie so terrible, right? So terrible that in the script and in the movie, they never get his name correct. They refer to him as Lincoln Hawk and Lincoln Hawks at multiple points throughout the movie. However, I will tell you this. I will watch that movie 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, start to finish. I celebrate the soundtrack. Sammy Hagar. I mean, that soundtrack is an all-time classic. All-time classic. And an interesting fact, John Bresnick, who there's a great documentary. John Bresnick is probably the most famous arm wrestler ever, right, in the history of the world. At that time, he was number one. In the top 10? He's still in like the top 10, well into his 50s. And there's a good article that recently came out.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, actually 60s. He might be in his 60s. And there's a whole physiological breakdown of why he's still able to be so competitive at such an advanced age, but we'll save that. The documentary made about John Bresnick is called Pulling John. It's a documentary on him and on the world of arm wrestling. Fascinating. You've got to watch it. It's fantastic. But here's what few people know, because aside from me, probably no one even finished Over the Top, much less rewatch it and then know the backstory of this. So Stallone, when he signed like a 3-picture deal with the company that put out Over the Top, and wasn't a whole lot of oversight on the script for sure, or the soundtrack or anything. It just so happened that it all turned out to be great. However, what they did do, a year before the movie was filmed, they actually held a real competition, a real arm wrestling competition. and gave away the real truck
Wow.
that Sylvester Stallone wins in the movie and is used in the movie. And that competition is where they did film during that. And that's where the end sequence comes from. So the whole competition at the end was a real competition that John Bresnick won. He won that truck, which was a $250,000 truck. And he is in the movie. And I will, for those of you who, I'm going to do a quick screen share there. Let me see here. Where's our share? Well, it's not letting me share. Darn it. Well, that's okay. John Bresnick actually, you see him multiple times in the final montage, the arm wrestling montage. He's wearing a red, green, and blue golf shirt. And he looks kind of like Lex Luger, who's a professional wrestler. So he's in there. And this is actually covered in some of the documentary as well. So, man, over the top. So bad, Rick. They couldn't even get the main
I love it. It's pure cheese,
right.
pure Sylvester Stallone 80s cheese, but I love it.
Just classic. And the one other thing I'll say, Rick, whenever anyone, right, makes a reference to Las Vegas, it doesn't matter what the context is. All I envision is Bull Hurley, right, the giant actor who played the bad guy, the bald guy, in the truck stop diner, and when Stallone goes, "I'll see you in Vegas," and Bull Hurley goes, "You ain't got a prayer in Vegas." That's my line. Great. Anybody talks, "You ain't got a prayer in Vegas." I don't know how this devolved into an over-the-top conversation. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've got some good ones to watch.
This might have been one of my favorite Rose and Thorns we've ever done, for sure. Yeah, and you gave me a few that I want to rewatch now as we come into heading into a weekend soon. So I'm going to put a couple of those on my list as well. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Rick and Nick's Excellent Adventure. And just remember, it's the 6 inches in front of your face that's going to make all the difference in your life. Al Pacino, Any Given Sunday.